Our brains are designed to deceive us. That isn't a bug. It's a feature. It's designed to save energy, to make thousands of decisions every day without having to think. It does this using a mechanism called reasoning by analogy, or simply copying. We see a situation, we find a similar one from the past, and we reapply the old solution. This is why, if you give someone a hammer, every problem they see looks like a nail. This system works very effectively most of the time. It helps us drive, talk, and operate in daily life. But it has a fatal blind spot. It keeps us trapped in a borrowed reality. We are living in a world built by other people's rules and assumptions. We accept that things must be the way they are, because they have always been that way. We ask, how do we improve the suitcase? We try to make it lighter, more durable, with more compartments. But this is the wrong question. This question is based on analogy. It assumes we need a suitcase in the first place. And this, right at this point, is where the brain hack begins. It's called first principles thinking. First principles thinking is an improvement. It's disassembly. It is the process of breaking a problem down to its most basic, undeniable truths. Imagine smashing a Lego house to see every individual brick. These truths are not based on others' experiences, not on social conventions. They are based on physics, on the bare truth. Let's go back to the suitcase. Analogy asks, how to make a better suitcase. First principles asks, what is a suitcase? It is a tool for moving things from point A to point B. So what are the fundamental truths? 1. You need something to hold things. That could be a box, a bag, a frame. 2. You need to move it. That could be wheels, a handle, or even a small motor. When you break it down like that, you are no longer bound by the image of a rectangular suitcase. You can create something entirely new. You have escaped the box defined by others. This is a classic example, but it illustrates the power of this perfectly. For decades, the space industry was stuck. The cost to launch a rocket into orbit was extremely expensive, hundreds of millions of dollars. Analogy said, rockets are expensive. They have always been expensive. The only way to save is to try and improve existing parts by a few %. But Elon Musk approached this with first principles thinking. He didn't ask, how can I buy a cheaper rocket? He asked, what is a rocket made of? The answer was, aerospace-grade aluminum alloys, titanium, copper, and carbon fiber. Then, he asked the next question. What is the cost of those raw materials on the commodities market? What he discovered changed the world. The cost of the raw materials was only about 2% of the total cost of a rocket. 2%. This meant that 98% of the cost didn't come from the rocket itself. It came from laziness in thinking. It came from layers of process, subcontractors, and accumulated assumptions over decades, all shielded by the phrase, that's how it's always been done. He didn't try to improve the existing rocket. He started from zero, from the basic principles of physics, and asked, what is the most efficient, cheapest way that obeys the laws of physics to get an object into orbit? And the result was space. He made them many times cheaper than commercial rivals, and dozens of times cheaper than old systems like the space shuttle. So the important question is, what does this rocket thinking do for your life? This is what 10 times smarter means. It isn't a higher IQ. It is a fundamentally different method of thinking. You stop playing other people's games and start defining your own rules based on truth. So, why does this make you hard to control? Because every form of manipulation, from sophisticated advertising to political ideology, relies on you accepting their assumptions without question. They hand you a prepackaged reality. They say, happiness means owning this thing. Success means having that title. Security means following this path. These are analogies. A first principles thinker dismantles these. What is happiness? It is a neurochemical state of contentment. It's like a cocktail of dopamine and serotonin, not the car you drive. What is the root truth? It comes from health, meaningful relationships, and a sense of purpose. Is that thing the only way, or the best way, to achieve that? Almost never. When you can see the root truth for yourself, you become highly resistant to the stories others try to sell you. You are hard to manipulate with fear or greed based on false assumptions. It sounds simple. So why don't we all do it all the time? The first reason is because it is exhausting. Our brain hates doing this. It costs an enormous amount of cognitive energy to fight the habit of copying. But there is a barrier even greater than energy. It's social pressure. When you start asking fundamental questions, you are challenging the status quo. You are implying that other people are wrong. When you ask, why do we have to work from 9 to 5 in an office? You aren't just asking a logistical question. You are challenging the foundation of an entire social structure. The first reaction you'll get isn't admiration. It's ridicule. Who do you think you are? Everyone knows that's just how it works. To think with first principles, you must be willing to look like a fool or a troublemaker for a long time. Let's take a very real example, a career. What does analogy say? It says, go to college, get a good degree, apply to a big company, work hard, climb the ladder. This is the predefined path. First principles thinking breaks it down. What is the goal? Let's say the goal is financial independence. What are the root truths? 1. To be independent, your income must exceed your expenses. 2. To have income, you must provide some value that others are willing to pay for. Now, the question becomes completely different. It's not, how do I get into company X? It is, what high-value skill can I develop that I can offer to the most people in the most efficient way? The answer to that question might have nothing to do with a college degree or a traditional company. It might be building an online business. It might be becoming a master craftsman. It might be learning to code and working remotely for companies worldwide. You have found the path yourself, instead of following someone else's old map. You have broken the borrowed reality. You used first principles to see what is really there, not what you were told was there. You got smarter. But this is where a new, more dangerous problem appears. When you start acting on these root truths, you start creating ripples. You see the first move, you see the immediate benefit, but the world is run by unintended consequences. The old power structures, the systems that do not want to be changed, are not the ones who stop you on the first move. They are the ones who anticipate your second, third, and fourth moves, and set their traps there. That trap isn't a locked door. It's bait. It is a reward right in front of your eyes. There is a theory that power structures don't control you by saying no. They control you by offering you a very attractive yes, an immediate first-order benefit. And this is where most people fail. The human brain, which is a copying machine, is programmed to optimize for immediate rewards. It only sees the first move. If I do this, I get this result. This is called first-order thinking. It's simple, it's linear, and it is the greatest manipulation tool ever created. Buy this car, and you will feel happy. That is first-order thinking. Take this safe job, and you will never have to worry. That is first-order thinking. Tell a small lie to get out of this trouble. That is first-order thinking. It's a reflex. It's laziness. It's first order. Manipulators love first-order thinking. They build entire systems based on it. They create sales funnels, ideologies, and career paths designed to give you small, short-term dopamine hits, while completely hiding the real cost. That cost is always found in the second order. The third order, to become uncontrollable, you must master the second brain hack. It is second-order thinking. If first principles think in the method that helps us smash a problem to its core essences, the tool to find the truth, then second-order thinking is the act of restructuring time to see the future. First-order thinking says, let's invent the car. It will help us get from A to B faster than a horse. Second-order thinking asks, and then what? Well, then what? Second order. Because we can commute further, we will build houses far from the city. The concept of suburbia will be born. Not done yet. Third order. Because wealthier families move to the suburbs, the city center will lose tax revenue, leading to urban decay and rising crime there. And the problem escalates. Fourth order. Because everyone needs a personal car, we will need a massive network of highways, slicing through communities. We will need a global oil industry, contributing to geopolitical conflicts, to control those resources. Do the consequences stop there? No. And finally, fifth order. Because billions of internal combustion engines emit carbon, we will alter the chemical composition of the atmosphere, causing global climate change. All of that, just from one simple first-order decision. Let's go faster than a horse. A first-order thinker sees one action and one result. A second-order thinker sees a complex system in motion. They don't look at a straight line. They look at a chessboard. They see their move and predict 3 reactive moves from the opponent. They think about how the system will push back against their move. This is why it makes you uncontrollable. When a politician promises a simple solution to a complex problem, the first-order thinker cheers. The second-order thinker asks, And then what? What new problems will this solution create that might be even worse than the current one? When an ad promises get rich quick, the first-order thinker sees wealth. The second-order thinker sees the trap. They ask, if this is so easy, why isn't everyone doing it? Who is the one actually making money here? The first-order thinker tries to solve the problem. The second-order thinker tries not to create new problems. You see, most major problems in our lives are not the result of a single bad decision. They are the result of a series of seemingly good first-order decisions accumulated over time. You choose the safe job first order, stability, but the second-order consequence is that you stop learning. The third-order consequence is that your skills become obsolete. And the fourth-order consequence is that 10 years later, you are replaced by new technology and you have zero ability to adapt. The safety trap has slammed shut. You understand the thinking, but how do you use it? There are 3 specific tools to train the brain. The first signpost, and the most important, is a simple question. And then what? You must turn this question into a relentless habit. Whenever you face a major decision, ask yourself this question 5 times. I will buy the latest phone. 1. And then what? I will have a better camera. 2. What next? I will spend $1,000, money I planned to save. 3. Then what? I will have to work overtime to make up for it, or cut back on other expenses. 4. What is the consequence? It will make me stressed and tired, and I won't have time for learning my new skill. 5. And the final outcome. In 6 months, a newer phone will come out. I will feel obsolete again, but I will still be stressed and poorer. You just saw the first-order trap. The second tool is inversion. Instead of asking how to achieve result X, ask what will definitely lead to failure Y. Instead of asking, how do I have a happy marriage? Ask, what would destroy a marriage? The answer is clear. Distrust, disrespect, selfishness, lack of communication. Now, all you have to do is avoid those things. By avoiding failure at the second order, you automatically move closer to success. That is the second tool. And the third tool, the most sophisticated one, identifying incentives and drivers. When you make a decision, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Other people will react. The system will react. Ask, who benefits from me making this first-order decision? Who will be hurt? What will their reaction be? You decide to break a rule at work based on first principles. Do something more efficiently. First-order consequence. The work gets done faster. Second-order consequence. Your manager, who created that rule, feels threatened or disrespected. Third-order consequence. They start finding ways to block your promotion, not because you did a bad job, but because you made them look bad. You won the first-order battle, but lost the third-order war. That is the third tool. Identify incentives. Combine them. First principles thinking gives you the power to break the rules. Second-order thinking gives you the wisdom to know when and how to break them. It turns you from a reckless rebel into a true strategist. You are no longer a pawn reacting to first-order threats and rewards. You become the chess player. You see the whole board, anticipate multiple moves ahead, and make controlling you impossible, because you are no longer playing their game. Now you have the 2 most powerful weapons in the mental arsenal. You can dismantle reality, and you can predict the future. Will you apply this? Tonight, pick a big decision you're about to make, maybe an expense or a promise, and ask yourself, and then what? At least 3 times. Double. Write it down. But there is one final problem. The biggest problem. Having knowledge is one thing, but practicing it requires something else. It requires courage. It requires fighting against not just external systems, but also the demons inside us: laziness, fear, and the need for social acceptance. How do you build an identity of steel, an internal operating system, to actually use these tools every day, even when it is hard? The answer lies in a brutal truth few dare to admit. You can't install new software on obsolete hardware. You can't apply the mindset of a free person onto the identity of a slave. Most of us, deep down, still define ourselves by the approval of others. We are the model employee. We are the good child. We are the nice friend. When you use first principles to break the rules, or second-order thinking to refuse a short-term gain, you are directly attacking that old identity. Your body will react. Your heart will race. Your palms will sweat. You will feel a primal fear. It isn't the fear of being wrong. It is the fear of being cast out by the tribe. So, the final piece The piece that turns you from someone who knows a lot into someone who does, is the identity of steel. You don't try to act smart, you must become the smart person. Imagine your mind is like a thermostat in a room. If your identity is set to average, then no matter how many books you read, no matter how much mindset you study, you will only heat up temporarily. As soon as pressure appears, you will cool back down to the old temperature. The temperature of safety to change. You don't need more motivation. You need to reset that dial. You need to redefine, who am I? Not I am trying to start a business, but I am an entrepreneur. Not I am trying to quit sugar, but I am an athlete. The difference sounds minor, but psychologically, it is massive. When you say I am trying, your brain still leaves an escape route. When you say I am, action becomes mandatory to protect that identity. How do you install this identity? With a single rule. Action against instinct. Every day, life will throw small situations at you. A boring meeting where everyone nods. A useless invitation to go drinking. A chance to badmouth someone behind their back. The old instinct, the slave instinct will scream, just nod. Go, drink. Fit in. This is where you train. You do the opposite. You say no. You stay silent when others join in. You give a contrary opinion when everyone agrees. The first time you do this, it will feel terrible. But the second time, it will feel easier. And by the 10th time, you begin to feel a new power emerging. You are sending a signal to your brain. I am not controlled by social fear. When you win these small internal battles, you build what is called evidence-based self-esteem. You believe in yourself, not because you stand in front of a mirror shouting empty slogans, but because you have seen yourself act bravely. And when you have this steel identity, combined with the previous two mindsets, a miracle happens. You begin to build your own internal operating system. So, what do we have? A map of first principles to see reality. A compass of Sakadorda, thinking to avoid the abyss. And today, the fuel of the identity of steel, to keep moving even when it is dark and the road is steep. When you have all three, you become dangerous to the old control system. You are no longer a passive consumer of the consumer economy. You are no longer an easy vote for demagogic politicians. You are no longer an obedient employee who only follows orders. You become an architect of reality. You start seeing the world completely differently. Where others see risk, you see calculated opportunity. Where others see chaos, you see basic principles at work. Where others see pressure to conform, you see an opportunity to assert yourself. Your life will change. You might lose a few old friends, the ones who only liked the obedient version of you. You might face trouble in the short term, but in return you gain the most precious thing on earth. True freedom. Freedom is not how much money is in your account, although that matters. Freedom is the ability to look at any problem, any offer, any situation, and know exactly what to do without looking at the person next to you for permission. That is the ultimate brain hack. So, the final question I have for you isn't what you have learned. It is, tomorrow, when you step out the door, who will be walking? The old, fearful, predictable copy, or the new, sharp, and uncontrollable human? The choice, for the first time and forever, is in your hands. When you make that choice, when you walk through the door of autonomy, something strange happens. You start to become invisible. I'm not talking about physical invisibility. I'm talking about becoming invisible to the algorithms, the marketers, and the control systems running this world. Remember, the entire modern economy is built on predicting your behavior. They know what you buy when you are sad. They know what you click when you are angry. They know this because you, the old version of you, are a first-order thinker. You acted on reflex. You are a statistical average. But the moment you start applying first principles and second-order thinking, you break that pattern. You become a statistical outlier. An ad algorithm tries to sell you fear. You break it down to first principles and see it as baseless. You don't click. A social movement tries to trigger your outrage. You use second-order thinking to see who benefits from that anger. You don't join. A colleague tries to drag you into a petty power struggle. Your identity of steel refuses to play that game. You become a glitch in their matrix, an error they cannot program, and that is the ultimate definition of being uncontrollable. However, this freedom comes with a responsibility. You can't just brain hack once and be done. This isn't a one-time vaccine. This is daily mental hygiene. To maintain this state, to keep the blade of your intellect sharp, you need a process, a daily operating protocol. Here's the 3-step protocol to keep you awake, even when the world around you is sleepwalking. Step 1. Input control. You cannot have high-quality thinking if you feed your mind garbage ingredients. Most people start their day by scrolling social media. They let the outside world with its sensational news, distant tragedies, and toxic comparisons invade their brain the moment they open their eyes. They surrender control from the very first second. Your protocol the first hour of the day is a no-fly zone. No news. No social media. No email. This is when you reconnect with your first principles. You read things that are timeless, not timely. You write down your priorities. You actively set the tone for the new day, instead of letting the world set it for you. Step 2. The strategic pause. Throughout the day, you will be attacked. A criticism from a boss. An annoying text. A card cutting you off. The old instinct will want to react immediately for a stored or thinking. Your protocol. Create a 3-second pause. In those 3 seconds, ask, is this truth or is this emotion? First principle. And if I react out of habit, what happens tomorrow? Second order. That pause is where freedom exists. It is where you shift control from the amygdala, the fear center, to the prefrontal cortex, the logic center. You don't react. You respond. Step 3. Create instead of consume. People who are easy to control are pure consumers. They watch videos, they buy things, they listen to opinions. They are passive containers. People who cannot be controlled are creators. Your protocol. Every day, ensure you create something. It could be a line of code, an article, a good meal, a solution to a problem at work. When you create, you are imposing your will upon the world, instead of letting the world impose upon you. You are proving to yourself that you are an agent of change, not a victim. These 3 steps. Simple, but not easy. It requires discipline. But the reward is priceless. Imagine your life in a year. When the crowd chases a trend, you see opportunity. When others wear masks, you build real relationships. And most importantly, no matter how crazy the outside world gets, you still hold your own steering wheel. You started this journey wanting to be 10 times smarter, but I hope you realize that intelligence is just a tool. The ultimate goal isn't to solve math faster or make more money, though you will do both. What is the ultimate goal? It is sovereignty. It is the right to live your own life, on your own terms, based on truths you found yourself. The world out there is very noisy. They will say you are wrong. They will say you are eccentric. They will try to pull you back into line. Why? Not because they hate you, but because your freedom is a mirror reflecting their imprisonment. Don't hate them. Lead them. Be the awake person in a sleeping room. Be the one who sees the chessboard when others only see pawns. Be the one who writes the script of your own life. The door is open. The map is in hand. The compass is set. And now, you know who you are. Welcome to the real world.